And then she gets into the spoken word part. Like, I went out one day and bought me a very, very sexy dress. And one day I looked in my closet and it disappeared. Lord, I hope the man is not wearing my, oh, child. Time for another ride on the Groove Line with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. Hopefully you are, because, well, it's Friday. We finally made it to the end of the week. And around here, it is Philly Friday. So today we're going to talk about where the sound of Philadelphia and Philly soul actually began. Now, many people, not totally incorrectly, think that Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff and Tom Bell are responsible for the Philly soul sound. I mean, they had parts in it, yes. I mean, they were the key purveyors of it in the 70s, but it actually starts with a 17-year-old girl who would go on to be a rather messy grown woman with the records that, she recorded in the 70s and the early first half of the 80s. But her career started off with a sweet song that she wrote herself, actually, at 17 years old. There weren't that many women songwriters writing songs for themselves back then, especially not one that was still still in high school or just about to leave high school. Of course, we're talking about the one and only Miss Barbara Mason. Yes. Miss Barbara Mason was born August 9th, 1947 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Had two sisters, was raised in a home with her mom and dad. And she's the only one in the family with any musical talent. There was an interview she did a long time ago with a blog where she was like, where the interviewer asked if anybody else in her family wrote or played music. She was like, nope, I'm the only one. So she apparently is the gifted one in her family, and she got her start in 1965. So yes, the Philly soul sound as we know it is celebrating a 60th anniversary. And the song is called Yes, I'm Ready. And it is what you expect a 17-year-old girl to be writing about, trying to learn how to love somebody or be in love with someone for the first time. Yes, I'm ready to learn. It was the first time that a Philly soul sound could really be defined, locked in, to, a simple drum pattern, beautiful horns and strings, and a message. That's basically the ingredients. And of course, you need the vocals. And of course, you had, Kenny Gamble was actually singing background on this. I did not know that, but Barbara said that Kenny was singing backgrounds on this for her. So yeah, maybe Kenny Gamble was there from the beginning. But yeah, the real Philly soul sound begins with Barbara Mason's Yes, I'm Ready in 1965. And she had a few more hits in that vein. There was Oh It Hurts, Oh How It Hurts from 1967. And by the time the 70s came around, she had decided to sign with Buddha Records. You guys might remember from the Phyllis Hyman episode, I mentioned Buddha Records. It was one of those not major, but a little step above independent and regional, like one of those, to use the NCAA term, it might have been a mid-major sort of label. But yeah, she signed with Buddha in the 70s, and that's when she really started cranking out side piece anthems. I mean, back in the day, they weren't called, women back then weren't called side pieces. They weren't called, or for Philly people, they weren't called side Jones. They were just called messy people, or, the other woman or the other man and all of that. And Barbara Mason delivered on so many counts. She did a remake of Billy Paul's Me and Mrs. Jones called, of course, Me and Mr. Jones. There was a song that is kind of famous in the cheating and the confrontation of a cheater catalog by the late Shirley Brown called Woman to Woman. And, and everybody who knows that song knows how the phone call starts off. Hello, may I speak to Barbara? Barbara, this is Shirley. So Barbara Mason took it upon herself to respond in kind with From His Woman to You. Ooh, 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 crazy, 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 crazy. And then, of course, there's another song from the mid 70s that she had called Shacking Up. And this is about two people who are single and living together. Now, mind you, this record came out late 1974, early 1975. Women had just started to be allowed to have bank accounts in their own name in 1974. And so marriage was something that women had to sort of, get into to sort of secure their future. And that's why we're going to start talking about papers and different things of that nature in the next few minutes. And for a record to come out like this in 74, 75, for Barbara Mason to sing, I guess it would be better if we were married and not in love, like the girl next door. I feel sorry for her. She's got papers on a man, but I don't have no papers on a man. We shacking up. So, and we don't have to pay to be free. That's how the chorus goes. So, for people who live traditional lifestyles, Barbara Mason's music could be kind of shocking. I mean, obviously, if you're answering a song about a woman who's confronting the other woman, then yeah, you got some stones. Like, you want the smoke. Barbara Mason wanted the smoke. We'll talk more about that smoke in a few minutes, but there's a lot of, just records that you listen to. And for one, you take away from the fact that she's a talented singer, a very talented singer. Like, some people do messy music because they don't have any other talent, or they do dramatic music because they can't, deliver. Barbara Mason could deliver. That's probably what probably pissed anybody who might have thought that Barbara Mason was singing about her husband, so bad, because it wasn't like Barbara was just screeching and caterwauling. Like, she could, carry a note. She had a very strong voice. I'm not sure which range I would, call it, because I'm not a musical genius, but I'm not a mule. I really want to study music, by the way, one of these days. I got to, find a way to make some time for myself and really learn how to study some damn music. That's one of my goals. But Barbara Mason was a very talented singer, and of course, she wrote her own songs. She played the piano. So it wasn't like it was just this random woman screaming on the side of the street, I'm messing with your man. She's literally saying, from his woman to you. It's like, ooh, ooh. And, later on in the decade, 1978, she went on to sing a song. Actually, it was sort of a reunion of sorts, because the late Weldon McDougall, who was one of the, Philly soul sort of consiglières, if you will, produced Yes, I'm Ready for Her. Then they came back together. They reunited in 78 for I'm His Woman, You Are His Wife. And is in the same vein, like, yeah, she got the papers on you, but you coming over here every night or every weekend or whatever it is. So we get to 1980. There's a singer, the late Richard Dimples Fields, and he has a song that is tearing up the charts called She's Got Papers on Me. And this is about a dude who's having an affair and wants to leave his wife, but she won't let him leave because, well, that marriage license is a mother. And the woman wasn't trying to divorce her. Allegedly, Betty Wright is another person that has passed, unfortunately, but was a legend in her own time, Miss Betty Wright. Apparently, that song was about Betty Wright. So 1981 comes around, and Barbara Mason is back in the studio. So she writes a song called She's Got the Papers, But I Got the Man. And she starts the song off directly. No doubt about it. She says, and Betty, I'm talking to you. Like 1981. Can you imagine if we had social media back then? Well, I wasn't even born. Well, I was a few months away from being born because I was born in September of 81. But imagine early in 1981, you log on to whatever social media would have been around back then if we had the internet back then. And there's this song talking about, she's got the papers, but not got the man. And she says, oh, Betty, I'm talking to you. It's like, ooh, Barbara had no chill. I mean, she's saying stuff in this song like, I don't need no war paint, talking about makeup, to get him. And remember that set that you gave him, that stereo set you told me to take with him when he came over here? Well, it's by my bed and we make love to it every night. Ooh-wee. Barbara Mason, again, she had no chill. She wanted all the smoke. Like, you listen to her music, I mean, and there are other great songs in her catalog. I mean, she does a really good cover version of Curtis Mayfield's Give Me Your Love and a few other songs. I mean, the Transitions album from 1974 is basically all about Vietnam and civil rights and different things of that nature and the societal conditions of the world for Black people in 1973, 74. So, I mean, she's got good music outside of the side chick realm, but she was really good at the side chick music. Unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about a song that is definitely in poor taste now. It probably was in poor taste back then. But 1983-84 comes around. She's on a label called West End. It's one of those, dance music labels up in New York when you think of like Profile, Prelude, South Soul, and West End was one of those labels as well. And a guy by the name of Butch Ingram writes and produces a song for her called Another Man. Now, the title, if you never heard it before, you think, oh, so now she's cheating on the dude that she's cheating with. You know, what goes around comes around, I guess. How you get him is how you lose him. Not quite. So, there was no way I was going to talk about this record during Pride Month. Absolutely not. I was not going to offend the LGBTQ homies by talking about this song because it is probably the most homophobic song ever recorded. I'm not gonna lie to you. It starts off with her calling back to "She's got the papers, I got the man." Remember when I said she's got the papers and I've got the man? Well, the man I took from her is not the man, child. I thought he was it all. And so she starts talking about what do you do when your man is untrue? Like Biggie and Lil Kim sampled that for Another on the Life After Death album. So that was the first time I'd heard that beat, and I thought it was something completely fresh. Then, of course, with the advent of 21st century technology, being able to download and listen to different songs, found out that Another Man was the base for Another, which is the name of the Biggie and Lil Kim song. So she starts talking about, another man is beating my time. Another man is loving mine. It's like, yeah. And then she gets into the spoken word part. Like, I went out one day and bought me a very, very sexy dress. And one day I looked in my closet and it disappeared. Lord, I hope the man is not wearing my ooh child. and the echo of the ooh child after she just her thought just trails off is just it's hilarious, but it's so it's a train wreck of a song. The beat is fire. The beat is a thumper. Like if you've heard Biggie and Lil Kim's version, then you can imagine the 1983-84 version a little stripped down. The drums are different, but the actual bass, boom, 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 like that sticks. But that song, when I first heard it, I'm not gonna lie, in my 20s I laughed, but as I matured and grew up, yeah, that song, it didn't age very well. It probably didn't age very well back then, because when you think about when this record came out, 1983, 1984, we were in the middle of a pandemic that nobody wanted to admit was a pandemic. What have we heard that before? Under a Republican president. Surprise, surprise. So this was the time when a gay panic was absolutely going around the United States of America. People had been making fun of gay men for a long time. Absolutely. One of the key characters in the MASH cartoon, the MASH television series, played by Jamie Farr, was a dude who the army couldn't dishonorably discharge because he kept, faking that he was like, gay. And they were making fun of gay men in art and culture all the time. But this one was just like, whew. And then again, 1983-84, there is no real push to do anything about this burgeoning crisis that has gay men dropping like flies. Nobody's doing anything about it. Ronald Reagan is ignoring it. Nancy Reagan, who we all know by now had her own proclivities, is ignoring it. And they don't do anything about it until their friend, Hollywood actor Rock Hudson, is dying of AIDS the next year, 1985. So imagine, a culture where gay men are disrespected and treated like lepers because of a disorder or an illness that literally nobody had a cure for, and was just like, they were dropping like bam, 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 bam. And, and women are very sensitive to cheating anyway. So imagine, you're already ticked off because your man is being unfaithful. With a woman, I guess it stings a little less, but with the homophobic culture of society back then, being cheated on with another man was like, galling, like, just a gut punch, a twisting a knife in, if you will. So Another Man grew legs in the club scene, and it was, I mean, it was odd because this was around the same time that house music really started to get a name going for itself. And disco, I mean, because disco, EDM and house are just disco with drum machines and keyboards and synths. It's really that simple. But you imagine club life in the in the early part of the 80s, getting to the middle part of the 80s, and you get in the club and this song is playing and people are going crazy. And as a gay dude, you're probably looking around like, what y'all saying fuck me for? I mean, it's right. I mean, that probably had to be devastating. I mean, there was an answer song, called Too Sweet from Too Sweet called Twice as Nice, where this gay dude is getting back at Barbara, like, yeah, I took your man and he liked it. So music has always had this level of drama, this level of, let's talk about it, let's discuss it, let's have answer songs, let's, keep the drama going. I mean, it's always been like that, but I don't think you could get away with a song like Another Man in 2025 because of just the way Barbara, I mean, the spoken word part, the verses, the chorus itself is pretty damning on its own, but when Barbara gets into her spoken word bag talking about, I walked by him by the steps one day and he was switching more than I was, and then you hear the background, and then she said, I even caught them holding hands on Market Street. Y'all know where Market Street is. I thought she was talking about Market Street in Philly. And I was like, that's not, I don't think I've ever seen men holding hands on Market Street in Philly. And then I found out she was talking about Market Street in San Francisco, California. It was like, oh. Yeah. So yeah, Barbara was tripping. I mean, she was tripping when she recorded that song. But overall, I find her music to be interesting on the surface, that she knew how to keep the drama going. And she was a talented woman who could keep the drama going. I mean, I could see if she couldn't sing. I could see if she wasn't fine, because I mean, you can look at the old Barbara Mason records. You can look at the thumbnail for this video. See this woman in a shirt and nothing else on underneath. Like, you can see the thickness in her thighs in the early 70s. You knew Barbara Mason was trouble in all the best ways. So, I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, you got a fine woman who can sing, talking about, yes, I'm sleeping with your husband. And then later on in the 80s, yes, I've been cheated on with a dude on the down low. So Barbara Mason didn't duck no wreck in any song that she ever did. But I think her legend really is that Yes, I'm Ready, 60 years ago, gave us everything that we love, us Philly area folks know and love about Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes with Teddy, the OJs, MFSB, the 3 Degrees, Jones Girls, Gene Carn, Teddy going solo, First Choice, on and on it goes, man. Like, you don't get the Delphonics, the Stylistics, Blue Magic. I mean, you don't get the Dee Sharp. You don't get these records that we love in the 70s, that people loved in the 70s, and that I came to love later on in life, unless Barbara Mason really blows up with Yes, I'm Ready in 1965. And that's exactly what happened. You needed a starting point. You needed a ground zero. You needed a base. And Yes, I'm Ready was absolutely a base. And it was written by a 17-year-old girl who was just learning about relationships. And then, of course, as the 70s and the 80s turned, she knew all about relationships. So, shouts out to Miss Barbara Mason. She's still with us today, by the way, which is awesome. And if you have a chance, just if it's Spotify or Tidal, or even go to YouTube, just type in Barbara Mason, listen to her songs, and you'll come away liking at least 3 or 4, guaranteed off the rip. I mean, if you like digging into the albums, cool, but you'll find at least 3 or 4 Barbara Mason songs that you like. I'm certain of it. And that will do it for this Philly Friday edition of On the Groove Line. Thank you all for riding with me. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Contact information will be in the description below. And again, if you guys feel like donating to the cause, so I can do some things like secure a URL for our website, and make sure I have funds to keep this thing solvent and make it grow, I'll put my Cash App and my PayPal in the link below as well. And don't forget to like and comment on the videos, because I do talk back in the comments. We always have good conversations in the comments. And if we get more likes and comments, more eyes and ears can be on this channel. And subscribe and tap that notification bell so you get notified of all the new content that drops on this channel. So thank y'all for riding with me on the Groove Line. And until the next time we ride, y'all be good or be good at it?